Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who's joined. Um, Thank you for making it to today's meeting. To begin, I just wanted to set the stage on why are we having this event. So a lot of our customers come back to us asking us what are some of the best practices used by other customers. We work with almost 14 subsectors of OEMs, so we do have experience on what's worked, what's not worked, what initiatives are going to work the best to start out with. These are some of the things we're going to help you out using this event. And to our industry next community who's on there, this is definitely going to help you understand what other customers or other companies in the OEM sector are doing to achieve success using our platform. So today we're going to be talking about a packaging company. It's a global packaging company, about 300 of a global sales force. They work with food and liquid packaging. And once we started with Entytle, they achieved, if not 50 times, a bit more than 50 times of monthly parts revenue than what they were achieving before using Entytle. And this was purely based on predictive analytics and the purchase rate algorithm that Entytle has. So we were creating predicted part opportunities for them through which they were proactively reaching out to their customers and creating orders out of these opportunities. So to begin with, what were the initial challenges that this particular company had? And I'm almost sure all of you have the same challenges or even similar challenges. The very first one was they were very focused on initiatives and campaigns around modernizations, which is pretty common with all of you on the call today. It was more to do with upgrades. It was to do with replacing obsolescent parts. So those things were pretty easy for them, but they weren't able to understand how can I predict which customer is going to need which part and when are they going to need it. That was a gap right now that we were trying to fill in. And I think the next step beyond that gap was they had customers who had probably 100 machines, which were present at a particular location. How would they know when they reach out to a customer, which machine are they going to be talking about when they're trying to sell a particular part? So these were the initial challenges that we started out with before we had the solution in place. And, to help you understand who was involved and what their role was, on a very broad level, it was the aftermarket, the sales team, and the services team who are involved. Again, it all depends from customer to customer. Everyone has a different organizational structure, so there are different teams involved. But the typical roles involved were the regional head, customer services, sales coordination, services from each business unit, because there were multiple business units used. And we started out with a focus group of about 10 users. That's what we actually do. That's a best practice, which we've noticed across all our customers. But if you start out with a focus group, you're setting expectations, you're learning what's working versus not, and you tweak the product and the initiatives that you're running slowly when you're trying to release it to a bigger group rather than doing a complete big bang approach.
Pooja, we have a question coming in. I think it's an interesting one. It says, was there any IT required or involved in this project?
Sure, that's a very good question. So IT is required, but on the very, very initial stages of the project where we are trying to get the data from you, after the initial time when we get the data, there's usually an automated process where we keep getting the data on a weekly basis. So we do not usually need IT on the project, or there's a very minimal need for them on the rest of the project. It's usually all the business users who handle the platform independently from the IT team. I hope that answered the question.
Yep.
Thanks, PJ. So the roadmap agreed upon by customer and the Entytle, I'm going to try going over this as high level, but as detailed as I can. And you can always reach out to us if you want to dive into or look at it in a deeper way. But we started with understanding what part predictions do they want to start with. So when you say what part predictions, what parts are the most important to you that you want to sell? So we started with the prioritization of that. The second level was getting one's bill of material data, where you have the connection between what machine type needs which parts. We used all of that bill of material data to even arrange it in an assembly group. So you can think of it as we're not just selling one part or like 5 parts for the same machine, but we are packaging it together and selling it as a package, because that's what you'd usually do, and not wait for another opportunity to sell a certain part which is going to come up in 2 months for replacement. And the last part was, of course, tying up these predicted opportunities to a particular machine, which is, we tell you for machine number or serial number, 123, you're supposed to sell X number of parts because of the predictions and the algorithms that we've run. Before I go to the next slide, I think real quick about how do we create these predictions. We do it based on purchase history for that particular customer. So how often were they buying and what were they buying from you in the past, as well as purchase history of very similar customers who have similar machine types and they've been purchasing at a regular interval. So we fill in the gap by comparing customers of the same segments as well. The execution process, as I started out with, was the prioritization. The prioritization, we help you understanding which ones are high monetary value, which ones were frequently bought together. Second was we created the predicted part opportunities, and we tied it to a specific machine using the bill of material data, as well as our analytical capabilities to understand what parts should be assigned to which machine. And we also created an assembly kit to sell a lot of parts all together as well, which is very helpful when you're reaching out to a customer. And of course, at the end, these opportunities are assigned to sales rep and they reach out to customers.
Pooja, I think there is a question. Someone's typing it out. Bear with me.
Okay. Okay, I see the question. What exactly happened after the opportunities were assigned? How did they convert? That's a good question. What exactly happens after the opportunities are assigned is we help salespeople create, a mock script of how you're going to be reaching out to customers, because no one's really used to this new habit of proactively reaching out to you. This is all cultural shift, if you may say so, and a change management technique. So we help you out with that. But what usually happens is there are going to be some percentage of the customers which are interested in such opportunities. There are some who are going to be like, do not disturb me, reach out to me in 3 months. But there's some set of customers who are going to be open to, receiving such opportunities, and they find value in you being proactive. This works perfectly well with them. So it's all a cultural shift and a change management technique, which we do help you out with because of the experience we have as well.
All right, I think we can move forward.
Yeah. And of course, the end result was that we achieved 50 times increase in parts revenue within the first 30 days, which is a considerably high amount. And depends from customer to customer. There are different categories of success. But this one was particularly special because of the very initial win that we had. So they created a lot of orders in the first month. Now, before I end the session, I know we have very limited time. I did want to show you how a predicted opportunity would look like in Entytle, just give you a glimpse of it. So we create pipelines. Pipelines are essentially initiatives or campaigns in your world. You could see a pipeline called as the predictive part. We show you the progress of a particular pipeline, how many opportunities in a pipeline are being quoted, are in the pipeline, how many are closed ones, how many have been lost by you. So that's the upper screenshot that you see. And down below is how an opportunity actually looks like in Entytle. Of course, bits and parts of this will be customized depending on what the requirement is. But if you can see, we have predicted for Quinix Communications, which is one of our sample accounts, that they need 1 lamp and 3 containers based on how they'd been purchasing before, as well as based on how similar customers like Quinix were purchasing, at the same time, because they have similar equipment. So we can always dive deep into this. You can, let us know if you have more questions, and we can have different sessions going ahead on this as well. I think there's another question. Can you share more examples of pipelines created for your customers? Manolis, we definitely can. I think due to the time constraint, we wouldn't be able to do that today. But you could reach out to your customer success manager who can help you out with, other pipelines which are created for customers as well. I know that wasn't a great answer, but I'm pretty sure you'll get more examples. And we are going to have more series like this as well, where you'd be seeing more use cases. All right. TJ, are there any more questions?
I think there's one more. Probably we have time just to take one more, so go for it.
Sure. So the question is, what are the typical challenges with rolling out something like this? This is a great question. I'll talk about some of the challenges. I might not be able to cover all of them. One was definitely the one I alluded to before, which is the cultural shift, which is basically the change management within your organization. That's one of the biggest challenges, which is not just with the adoption of the platform, but even the operationalizing piece. The second is, we always advise going with a crawl, walk, run methodology, which means you start out with some use cases, then move on to a bigger piece, and then move on to an even bigger piece. So think of it as a phased approach where, you're just trying to grasp how much ever you can in each approach. So, and one of the challenges which does come up is, some of our customers want to go all on board and get everything out all at once, which does become a challenge, but we do make sure that they go with the crawl, walk, run methodology, which works well. Any other questions we can take, DJ? I think we just have a minute left.
Got time, Pooja. But Manolis asked an interesting question. Maybe we can figure out who the CSM is, and then have the CSM contact Manolis about the other campaigns or the other predictive campaigns that can be run. And if I may, Manolis, we are going to be doing, what Pooja mentioned is that we're going to be doing a series of events, which will be focused on several such campaigns. So that probably would answer the question, your question.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So all existing customers, I think, as DJ alluded, do ask these questions to your CSMs, messages via intercom, and for everyone else, definitely write to us at info@untitled.com, or you can use the chat on our website. Thanks for joining in, everyone. DJ, any closing notes?
No, I think that's about it. And thank you, Manolis, for that last message there. We will keep you folks posted on the upcoming webinars. The next one probably is on 24th of March. We'll make sure to send out a note to all of you. All right. Thanks again for joining in, and thank you, Pooja, for this rather quick introduction to what Entitle's predictive opportunities can do for industry OEMs.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye.